Now, still talking football, there was, of course, a big news made this afternoon by the Nigerian Football Federation, which, of course, they've announced after a series of meetings with the technical committee, the appointment of Finidi George as a head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now, Finidi George, who spent 20 months as assistant to José Peseiro before joining the Portuguese left his position as head coach of the Super Eagles, took charge of the squad in an interim capacity during 2 friendly matches in Morocco in March. Now, Finidi George's immediate task will be to guide the Super Eagles to victory in 2 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against South Africa and Benin Republic in Uyo and Abidjan in June 2024. Now, before now, we've had series of names come up, and a lot of things have happened, as to who will tinker the side, in the next few months. And some persons did, of course, mention the name of Emmanuel Amunike, but somehow it was not the name mentioned, as NFF have come out to announce this man as the man to take Nigeria to the promised land. Now, joining us from Lagos, Nigeria, to discuss and to analyze this choice by the Nigerian Football Federation is the former media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Toyin Ibitoye, joins us this evening. Good evening. Welcome to Game On.
Thank you, Pharaoh. Thank you, Onye and Okwe. Thank you for the opportunity of being on Game On this Monday.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. A quick one. We would like to ask you what your take is with the appointment of Finidi George, despite a series of names that have cropped up in the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, I think it's a wise decision. I think it's a good choice. At least for continuity, I think it gets the nod. It's been part of the system for the past 24 months. He's handled the team in the last 2 games they played against Ghana and Mali, and I think I'm not disturbed by his choice. I think it's a good choice, and considering the fact that the Nigerian Football Federation decided to settle for an indigenous coach, it narrows down the choice to a few persons, of which Finidi is eminently qualified. So I think it's a good choice. As I told a few guys earlier today, the success of Finidi is dependent on the degree of support and respect it gets from the Nigerian Football Federation. So let's hope it gets the right kind of support, gets the right kind of results, surrounds himself with the right kind of people, and gets the job done for Nigeria. But at last, I'm relieved that after so many weeks of dilly-dallying, of speculations, of rumors, of name dropping, at last, we now have somebody that has been named as the coach of the team, and can now get to work and start to plan for the games we have in June.
All right, you just talked about a series of weeks we waited for the announcement. Now, the question that pops up that since the NFF already knows, or rather, maybe they knew some days ago that they would appoint Finidi George, if it was going to be this decision, why wait up until now, knowing that we had José Peseiro leaving the national team in February, and Finidi was part of the the crew that went to Morocco to play the series of friendlies? Why the wait up until now?
Well, you never know. You never know what was going on behind the scene. You never know what kind of pressure was being mounted from different quarters on the Nigerian Football Federation. At some point, we felt that we were going to go for another foreign coach. And then suddenly we heard that they've narrowed down their choice to indigenous coaches. So you never know what kind of pressure is been going on behind the scene. For me, the joy is that at last we have crossed that hurdle. At last we have a man in charge. The interim manager has now become the substantive manager. So it settles a lot of nerves, and I just hope that the federation will give him all the support. The players will give him all the support, and then he can also step up to the responsibility from being assistant coach to being interim manager, now to being the main man in charge is a big step up for Finidi, and he has to prepare himself for it. is carrying the hopes and the aspirations of millions of Nigerians. It is not going to be an easy task. He has to hit the ground running because we have 2 games that are very, very crucial in June. So it's not going to be easy. But I think with the right kind of support from the federation, from the players, from everybody, he can deliver and he can put smiles on the faces of football-loving Nigerians.
Well, Toyin, how are you doing? Good evening.
Hey, Machara, I greet you.
Yeah. Well, I read something on the internet this evening. Somebody was saying that, he described Finidi as the interim substantive head coach. And my mind went quickly to what happened in the 2 friendlies in Morocco between Ghana and Mali. I read the account of some players like Kenneth Omero, who said Finidi prosecuted those 2 games without assistant coaches. That means Finidi was the coach, the assistant coach, the goalkeeper trainer. So are we looking at a coach who the NFF feels comfortable with, that they can throw anything at and there will be no complaints? That's my worry, because Finidi needs support. That's the truth. I have appointed him because they feel that this man will not complain. Anything they throw at him, he's going to accept it hook, line, and sinker. That's my worry.
Well, your worries are genuine, Oye. Your worries are genuine. The 2 games against Ghana and Mali, Finidi was the only technical man around. The goalkeeper coach was the only technical person with him. So he acted basically as the match reader, as the video analyst, as the fitness coach, as everything. And he was able to get a result against Ghana. Unfortunately, the performance against Mali wasn't as good, wasn't as convincing. A lot of issues, really, that the NFF will have to address. Number 1, anytime we appoint a foreign coach, the coach comes with 3 coaches. He comes with a video analyst, he comes with a fitness coach, and he comes with 1 assistant coach, usually maybe a match reader. And then the federation supplies the goalkeeper coach and another assistant. I hope those same privileges will be extended to Finidi, for him to come with somebody that he can work with, someone he trusts, people he can trust, a good video analyst, a good physical trainer or fitness coach, as they call them, a good match reader. And I hope that they will give him all that support. Another issue has got to be his remuneration. The last time we had indigenous coaches, we know how much they were paid. And when we had the last 2 foreign coaches, we know how much they were paid. The disparity is so wide. And then when these coaches come with their 3 coaches, when the main coach comes with 3 assistants, usually he pays from whatever is paid by the federation. Will this also apply to Finidi? Will he be allowed to bring these 3 coaches? And will he be paid such a fee that he'll be able to take care of the assistant coaches that will work with him? These are the issues that the Nigerian Football Federation will need to resolve very, very quickly. And then, as we said, begin to think of what we will do in June. Let me tell you, we all know that if the results in June do not go our way, we will be back to square one. There will be renewed calls. We will start agitating. There will be calls, foreign coaches, everybody, the calls will be renewed and will be very fierce. But if Finidi is able to get the result in those 2 games, he would have won the whole of the country over. So it's a big task for us. I had the privilege of speaking with the president of the Nigerian Football Federation a few minutes after Finidi was appointed and announced. And he told me that the federation is ready to sink or swim with Finidi. He said they will support him, they will give him everything he needs to succeed. He believes that the success of Finidi is the success of Nigeria. And those words were very reassuring for me from the NFF president. So if they can live up to their words, give Finidi all the support he needs, put structures around him that will help him to be efficient on this work, and back him all the way, then I believe there's hope. So it's really dependent on what happens. For Finidi, this is the time for him to step up and show man management skills. You know, ability to manage the ego of big boys, big players. He also has to show tactical awareness. He has to show tactical acumen. He has to show that he's capable of leading a team like the Super Eagles of Nigeria. He has to show maturity, that he's able to hold his own and is able to fight for his players and is able to stick out for whatever he believes he wants and, you know, carry the pressure that comes with coaching Nigeria with him. So these are the issues that are very, very critical. And Finidi is a gentleman. But this job, you know, you can be a gentleman, but you must be very firm. So I hope he's able to bring that balance. And more importantly, get the good results that will help the Eagles to return to winning ways in the World Cup qualifiers.
All right. So, Uncle T, I mean, it's always a pleasure to have you on Game On. I'm glad you've told us that the NFF is fully behind him. I think, you know, in terms of tactics, you know, compared to Peseiro, we saw in those two friendly games against Ghana and Mali, we saw that, you know what, he used the same type of formation, but different implementation. You know, we're playing attacking football, playing from the back. It was very good. But you know what, one other thing you've mentioned is the fact that he needs to be supported. So talking about his backroom staff, you know, for 20 to 24 months, he was a very good assistant manager to Peseiro. We saw the way the players were always relating well with him on camera, and, you know, players speak well of him. But now some names have been thrown around. We've heard about Daniel Amokachi. We've heard about Michael Nsien. And funny enough, we've also heard about Emmanuel Amunike. So in your own opinion, who or which of these names do you think would be a good assistant to work with Finidi George?
Well, interestingly, you know, Finidi becomes the another member of the 1994 squad that is managing the Eagles. Apart from being head coaches, we've had a number of them as assistant coaches. We've had Siasia at some point assistant coach, and then he became head coach. We've had Amokachi. We've had Aloyago as goalkeeper coach. You know, a lot of them. But the most important thing for me is for Finidi to pick the person that he can work with. He needs to pick someone that he trusts, someone that he can work with, somebody that he believes in, because loyalty is very key.
True. But then again, what if he's not given that luxury of choosing someone? So let's just imagine that it's the NFF themselves that do choose someone. So in your own expert opinion, who do you think will be someone that can work well with Finidi to get the best out of the boys?
Yeah, it's a very tricky one because you don't want to pick someone at the level of Finidi, somebody with the same level of influence, somebody with the same level of you know, courage, like his teammates in 1994, because it will look like you have two captains in one boat.
True.
It was easy for somebody like Keshi to work with an Amokachi as assistant because Keshi started in the national team long before Amokachi and all of that. But when you have players who came into the national team at the same time, it could be very tricky.
Okay.
So let Finidi, as I said, be the one to pick who he believes he can work with. Yes, they can make recommendations to him, but let that decision of who he picks as his assistant come from him, because that would help to grow loyalty, to bond the team, and to help us to avoid conflicts and crises and clashes of ego in the Super Eagles camp. So I believe he should be the one to choose who he wants. The NFF can pick some coaches for him, but some of those coaches that will work with him, let Finidi be the man to choose those he believes he can work with, is convenient to work with.
All right, thank you very much, Toyin Ibitoye, for the analysis and, of course, giving us from the grapevine what to expect for Finidi George, and would hope to, of course, see you and, of course, hear from you again. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that was the former media officer of Super Eagles of Nigeria telling us, of course, his own thoughts about the appointment of Finidi George. Back here, of course, in the studio, Oyewuchi, I would like to also look at the angle. I'll pick it from where he stopped. He spoke about the aspect of the remuneration to Finidi George. I'm also concerned. Why announce a coach? You've not had an agreement about how much you're going to pay him. You've not also had an agreement about if he will have the opportunity to bring in his own backroom staff, and you go ahead to announce. What if the coach comes and say, this is what I want as salaries, and you are not able to meet up, or it's below standard? What happens?
Favor is quite tricky. You know, I think the Nigerian coaches are operating from a disadvantaged position. You know, if it were a foreign coach, everything would have been settled. There would have been contracts. They would have decided on how much the NFF would have offered some amount, and they bargain and reach a compromise. But what usually happens when they hire a local coach is that they will just ask you, just go and work. Because the statement that the NFF released today, there were no details to what you're asking me.
At all.
There were no details.
Oh, yes,
no number of years, how much they're going to be paying him. And here we are still talking about who will be his assistants. So I think it's high time the Nigerian coaches insisted. This is what we want. So they must insist. Because you must grab freedom. You must liberate yourself. You don't allow them to toss you around because you want to be Super Eagles coach. Because if the foreign coach decides, this is what I want to work with this under this condition, then they should be able to also determine their destiny.
Okay, I will come to a quick one. According to reports from the sources, we'll be hearing sources and sources that Amunike will be offered the role, but we don't know if he's going to accept it. And Michael Nsien, a friend of the house, is also saying that if he's called upon, he would be looking forward to work with Finidi George, although that he needs, when it comes to the contract aspect, he also wants to get his own opportunity to negotiate what he wants to earn.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to take a cue from Toyin Ibitoye, and he said, look, whoever is going to be the assistant coach should not be at the same level in terms of exposure with Finidi. So for me, Amunike is an established coach in his own right. This is someone who has coached outside of Nigeria. So in my own opinion, if I take a cue from that, I'm not going to pick Amunike because they might be at loggerheads. You don't want two captains running the ship at the same time. Amokachi has been there before, so I don't think he needs to be there. In my own opinion, I think the relationship with the late big boss was good for him, and I don't think it might work hand in hand with Finidi George. I want Michael Nsien. I say Michael Nsien because his track record has proven that, as an assistant coach to the US national team, he's done well. As an assistant coach to the US under-19 team, the track record is there. He knows how to work with players. And, from, just like you said, a friend of the house, and when you listen to Michael Nsien speak, when you listen to him talk about, his own style, the way he loves to work with players, it works hand in hand with Finidi. In terms of the personality of both of them, I feel they can gel well. Finidi is someone who is loved by the players and respected by the players, clearly. If you have that combination, we might just have a very, very good coaching staff. And hopefully, we can see something good with Super Eagles team.
All right, in the next coming days, we'll get to know who will be the assistant coach of Finidi George. We'll be meeting with the NFF this week. And hopefully, we're allowed to choose whoever he wants to have on board.